Weezer's reputation was on the decline in the 2000s. Albums like Make Believe, Ratitude, and to a lesser extent Hurley weren't received well critically. But the band had long been used to being disliked by critics. What was most worrisome is that at this point, even some of the band's most die-hard fans were starting to turn on them. It was clear to Weezer that the time had come to make things right with those whose opinions mattered most. The question was how. Nobody's come out and taken credit for the cruise idea yet. The music cruise industry had already been on the rise for years at this point for people interested in anything from Christian rock to goth metal and everything in between. Plus, Weezer were no strangers to strange business decisions. A cruise was a no-brainer. The band chose Carnival Cruise Lines for the home of the Weezer cruise, with it ultimately being the Carnival Destiny, which held the voyage from Miami to Cozumel and the music festival on board. And it really was a music festival. The name was the Weezer Cruise, but they personally chose 15 other bands who would also headline the cruise, ranging from those Weezer had already been associated with for years like Ozma, as well as some fresh faces like Dinosaur Jr., Sebado, Waves, The Antlers, Free Energy, Boom Bip, J Mascis, Lou Barlow, Keep Away, The Nervous Records, The Knox, Sleeper Agent, Yacht Rock Revenue, and Yuck, whose guitarist Max Bloom wrote about his experience in the cruise for Medium. We flew into Miami in January 2012 to begin what would be a long few months of touring around the world, starting with the Weezer cruise. We all gasped as we approached the port and the giant Carnival cruise ship slowly loomed into view. I had never been on a cruise ship like this before. We labored our guitars and pedal boards onto the boat, with fellow cruisers shouting, "Hey, Yuck!" and "Looking forward to seeing you play!" The 4-day lucid trip was about to begin. This lucid dream set sail on January 19th. The first day was chock full of activities, but before you were allowed to indulge in any of those, like with any cruise, you had to watch a safety video. And, as I'm sure you've predicted at this point, this safety video was Weezer themed. Unfortunately, I couldn't find this video online, so instead here's Pat Wilson excitedly detailing the trip.
A water park. There's water falling on me. Well, it's almost time to board the ship. I better go finish packing. I'll see you soon.
After being warned of the dangers of the sea, a PA announcement came on. "Attention shipmates, we are about to set sail. Please join us on the deck for a special concert from Weezer." Passengers made their way to the Lido deck, where Weezer emerged onto a stage. They played the entirety of the Blue album as well as a few other hits and a cover of Paranoid Android as the ship set sail from Miami and the sun slowly set. After Weezer wrapped up their first of many shows and the first night properly began, many of the bands present started performing all across the ship. These include Dinosaur Jr., Ozma, and Yacht Rock Review. I doubt you really care about the dozens of performances held by the other bands present, so the rest of the video will be mostly Weezer-centric. And there's plenty of material to cover, as the band didn't just do occasional concerts. Weezer came onto the cruise to mix and mingle with their biggest fans and reignite the flame of a fire that had been slowly dying for decades. They knew popping onto a stage every once in a while and playing some hits wouldn't be enough to redeem themselves. So the band split up and had little events with fans in between shows. This started on the first night, when Brian Bell held a watch-along on the Lido deck for Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein. Friday, the second day, would bring a lot of fun, beginning with yoga with Ozma bright and early at 10 a.m. 11:30 brought the qualifying rounds of a shuffleboard championship hosted by Pat Wilson. Then at 12, there were photo shoots with the band where somebody proposed to their girlfriend. God, I wish there was photo evidence of this online. 3 p.m. brought a tough choice for Weezer fans. At the Palladium Lounge, there was a game show hosted by Scott Blair of Magic Hugs, with Brian Bell, Scott Schreiner, Pat Wilson, and Josh Fries acting as contestants answering various trivia questions. But for those looking for something more introspective, you could go listen to Rivers' live reading of excerpts from The Pinkerton Diaries, his recently published book about the making of Pinkerton. Afterwards, there was a Q&A where one fan asked Rivers what it was like to work with the Muppets, to which he allegedly replied, "You don't even focus on the human being at all. It's like he's not there. It's like Kermit is real." That was surprising to all of us. The rest of the night held a few performances by the likes of Waves, Lou Barlow, Ozma, and Yuck, but that night at 10 would bring Weezer's first performance of Pinkerton and its B-sides at the Palladium Lounge. This was the first time since 1997 that Michael and Carly was played live, and the first time Tragic Girl was played live. As far as I can tell, night 2 was also Ugly Sweater Night. Every night starting with this one had a certain theme. On night 2, Weezer fans were encouraged to wear custom Weezer sweaters in the style of those ugly Christmas sweaters people in the 2010s found very, very, very funny. Saturday was big. Cruise passengers woke up to find a yellow tint over everything in sight. That's right, baby. Welcome to Mexico! From 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., cruisers were let loose on the island of Cozumel. At this point, it was just like the average cruise. You leave the boat whenever you want and you come back whenever you want, as long as it's before 6. But if you're not back by 6, well, I heard Los Pollos Hermanos is hiring.
And welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family.
Dinosaur Jr. played the Sail Away show this time to a significantly smaller audience. No shade, I mean it's the fucking Weezer cruise. Odds are people are more interested in a Weezer show than a Dinosaur Jr. show. Just stating the facts. The band played some fan favorites as the sun set and the third night began. This night brought the second performance of Pinkerton by Weezer and the 80s prom night. As the name suggests, ship passengers were encouraged to dress as 80s as possible and meet in the disco lounge for a prom-style party. Apparently, if you look closely, you could even spot Pat and Rivers in full captain outfits at the event. Weezer fans were presented with 2 choices Sunday morning. For those of you who have been diagnosed with marriage, you could go and get your vows renewed by Scott Schreiner himself, which is just adorable. For the rest of us, there is team trivia with Carl Koch, the webmaster, historian, and unofficial 5th member of the band. Sources say the questions were obscure and difficult. I say there's no limit to the amount of random knowledge the average Weezer fan knows about the band. Noon brought the final photo opportunity with the band, followed by the finals of Pat's Shuffleboard Championship at 2:30. Then there was a group photo scheduled for 4 p.m. As far as I'm aware, this is that photo. Not sure what's so special about it. It may have been specifically for the various bands on the cruise, but reading Max Bloom's account of the encounter was just great either way. He talks about how awkward it was and how nervous he was, and how he eventually ended up having a 15-minute conversation with Dinosaur Jr.'s Jay Mascis about ice cream. I linked his article about the cruise in the description, so if you're interested in the perspective of an indie band member on the Weezer cruise, you can read more about that there. However, if you're interested in the average Weezer fan, they were making their way onto the Lido deck, where an hour-long Weezer Q&A was about to begin.
What's your favorite song to play together as a band?
I like No Other One.
Yeah, I'm kind of into Tragic Girl right now. This is such a fucking workout, man. I love playing that song. Just epic, and it just destroys me every night.
Yeah, Greatest Man is up there for me, too.
I like Suzanne because I like how much we all sing on it and how it's how familiar it sounds, but it's still very fresh.
If you couldn't earn a living in the entertainment industry, what other professions would interest you at all?
Drug dealer.
The final night was Mustache Night, where everyone was encouraged to wear fake mustaches, except for those with real mustaches who were required to stay in their rooms at all times. That night marked the final performances by Sebado, Yacht Rock Review, and Ozma, as well as a DJ set by Carl Koch. He did another one on night 2, but explaining who Carl Koch was in that segment would have ruined the flow, and the flow must be preserved at all costs. Sorry, Carl. And that's it for the Weezer cruise. They arrived in Florida on the morning of January 23rd. Rivers Cuomo has been very open about how great the experience of the Weezer cruise was for him. He told Rolling Stone, "Being locked up with a couple thousand of the most hardcore Weezer fans and feeling their love for us face to face was a pleasant surprise. But it wasn't just a good experience. Rivers told NME in 2014 that it directly inspired Everything Will Be Alright in the end." Let's not get too sappy. Brian Bell would add in the Rolling Stone interview, "Oh my god, I had to be on all the time, even to get my morning coffee." That was a harsh realization. The next time, I brought my own espresso machine. Wait, what's this about our next time?
Please gather around. Weezer is happy to announce the amazing artists that will be joining us.
Let's address the elephant in the room. There was a Weezer cruise too, and according to Weezerpedia, it was for the most part the same as the first. The thing is, that's basically all it says. That's not to say I need a 40-page Weezerpedia article to get a video made. I'm not that much of a hack. But a paragraph of details, and hardly any interviews or blogs online would make a video on the second Weezer cruise very difficult. Though, I'm not giving up hope. That's why I'm not covering it in this video. Just know, if this video never gets a sequel, that's why. But speaking of sequels, I'm sure most of you are wondering at this point if there's ever going to be a third Weezer cruise. The answer is a strong maybe. Like I said earlier in this video, nothing is ever off the table with Weezer. Just a few months after the first cruise, Rivers told NME the band was planning to launch a summer camp and spoke optimistically about a third cruise to press. But for whatever reason, all these plans dematerialized after the second Weezer cruise. Carl Koch told We Are Weezer in 2018, "I think Rivers was originally the one that sort of talked up a camp idea, and I think that, and even a cruise, is not impossible. It's like, this isn't a band that has, like, red lines, and we won't do this, and we won't do that. And that goes for a third cruise, too. It's like, nobody is saying I'll never do it. It's just that, there were some missed expectations, at least the second time around, and everybody had fun, and it was like, well, let's just put this on the shelf for now, and we'll talk about it another time." And it just hasn't been talked about since. However, it has been talked about since this interview. On June 20th, 2019, Weezer tweeted out a survey with the caption, "We could all use a little time off now and then, yeah? We're thinking of revamping the idea of a Weezer vacation, but need your help. Sound off and take the survey." It mainly served to gauge fan interest and find out what those fans were interested in, asking questions like, which of these destinations sounds the best, what time of year would you prefer to go on vacation, and what do you want to do on your vacation with Weezer? Ozma tweeted out the same survey saying, "Let's do this cruise thing again, at Weezer." But it's not a cruise. When they say revamping, they mean they're interested in a Weezer vacation without the big boat. Judging by the survey, they were looking to make it an all-inclusive island resort at $1,600 per person at the cheapest, nearly 3 times as much as the cruise. But besides price and a less nautical theme, it would be essentially the same experience. Besides, we may never know what would have come from this survey. It could have somehow turned back into a cruise, or been seriously considered as its own thing, or just something the band were playing around with. This idea likely never escaped 2019, as 2020 was complicated. But who knows? I'm gonna link Weezer and Ozma's original tweets in the description of this video, and maybe if we all like and retweet them, take the survey, and continue to hope for a third Weezer cruise, maybe something could come of it. And, if it does, you bet your bitch ass I'll be there. But until then, looks like I need a way to come up with $2,000. Hey, Los Hermanos are still hiring.